Chapter 1. Most people spend their lives searching for the one breakthrough moment that will finally change everything. The perfect plan, the perfect routine, the perfect stroke of luck. But the truth is far less glamorous and far more powerful. Your life changes when your daily decisions change. Not your weekly bursts of effort, not your occasional motivation spikes, but the micro-actions you repeat without applause, without recognition, and without visible rewards. This is the core of the compound effect, the principle that small, consistent actions multiply into results that eventually look extraordinary. What makes this principle so effective is that it works quietly. You rarely notice progress in the beginning, which is exactly why most people give up before the momentum kicks in. They look for intensity, yet what they truly need is consistency. The reason the top performers in any field seem effortlessly ahead is because they understand something the majority overlook. Consistency has a cumulative force. Every small effort stacks on another until the growth becomes impossible to ignore. People see the outcome and call it luck, but what they don't see are the hundreds or thousands of small decisions that built that outcome. If you want uncommon results, start by committing to common actions done consistently. One of the greatest obstacles to progress is the belief that success requires massive action. This idea discourages people more than it motivates them. They imagine they must overhaul their entire life, and when that feels overwhelming, they procrastinate. But the compound effect removes overwhelm because it shifts your focus from radical transformation to simple, manageable habits repeated daily. The smallest actions, reading a few pages, writing a few sentences, stretching for 5 minutes, practicing a skill for even a short period, may seem insignificant, but they expand your discipline. They strengthen your belief in yourself. Most importantly, they shape your identity, because your identity is built on what you do repeatedly, not occasionally. The people who find themselves ahead of 99% of others are rarely the most gifted. They are the ones who mastered the art of showing up. They don't wait for perfect inspiration. They don't rely on emotional waves. They rely on structure. They rely on commitment. They rely on systems that carry them forward regardless of how they feel on any given day. You don't need to be extreme. You need to be constant. The first step to applying the compound effect is lowering the entry barrier. Most people set goals that are far too large to sustain. They demand drastic change and burn out quickly. Instead, reduce your daily habits into the simplest possible form. Workouts can begin with a few minutes. Learning can begin with a single page. Progress is not about the size of the action but the sequence of repetition. When you build habits this way, you create a structure that is harder to break. You start winning your days in small, repeatable pieces. You begin to see that progress is not a dramatic event, it's a quiet accumulation. Another essential component of this philosophy is tracking your actions. When you track what you do, you build awareness. Awareness leads to understanding, and understanding leads to improvement. Even the act of marking an X on a calendar creates a visual chain of consistency, and that visual chain becomes something you don't want to break. Protecting the chain is one of the most powerful strategies you can use. There will be days when your energy is low, when stress is high, when delays interrupt your routine. Most people allow these days to break their momentum, telling themselves they will continue tomorrow. But successful individuals don't aim for perfect performance, they aim for continuity. If they can't complete a full session, they complete a mini-session. They scale down, but they still show up. Momentum is kept alive not by perfection but by persistence. One of the biggest challenges people face is the delay in rewards. Humans crave quick results, and because the compound effect does not produce instant gratification, people assume it isn't working. They abandon the routine before the curve begins to rise. They plant seeds but don't water long enough to witness growth. The ones who succeed are those who understand that growth follows a delayed timeline. The early stages feel flat, but beneath that flat line is invisible development. This invisible development is what makes the compound effect so powerful. Your brain adapts. Your confidence strengthens. Your discipline grows. And once growth becomes visible, motivation naturally increases. But that spark of motivation only appears after you've invested consistent effort, not before. Another truth about real progress is that it often feels boring. Repeating small tasks can feel uneventful, but boredom is proof the habit is becoming automatic. Automatic habits require less mental energy and are easier to maintain long-term. When discipline becomes identity, the effort feels lighter and the results feel inevitable. The key is to stop trying to revolutionize your life in one huge leap. Plenty of people attempt massive change and end up exhausted, mentally drained, and back where they started. It is far more effective to revolutionize your days. Every day offers a small opportunity to move one step forward. Those steps accumulate. Those accumulations compound. And those compounds shape the future. Success becomes predictable when your daily actions align with your long-term goals. Every skill you desire, every level of growth you want to reach, every achievement you dream about, they all come from repeatedly doing the small things that most people ignore. Hook. The gap between who you are and who you want to be is closed one repeated action at a time. Understanding the compound effect gives you complete control over your trajectory. You no longer need perfect circumstances, massive resources, or extraordinary talent. You need only one thing: the willingness to begin small and remain consistent. When you adopt this principle, you place yourself in a position where progress becomes automatic. You separate yourself from the masses not through force, but through discipline, not through intensity, but through reliability. Applying this approach will place you ahead of 99% of people, not because they lack ambition, but because they lack consistency. They stop too soon. They restart too often. They underestimate small beginnings. Meanwhile, you rise, not by doing what is dramatic, but by doing what is repeated. This is the foundation of everything that follows. The moment you commit to consistent, meaningful habits, the compound effect begins shaping your future in ways that will soon become undeniable. Chapter 2. Progress becomes predictable when you understand the forces that shape your daily decisions. Most people think they lack discipline, but what they truly lack is clarity. Without clarity, the mind becomes overwhelmed, energy is scattered, and actions lose direction. If you want the compound effect to work in your life, you must learn how to organize your focus so your small daily actions move in a single, powerful direction instead of being diluted across too many goals. The truth is simple. Growth is never the result of doing more, it is the result of doing less, more intentionally. When your attention is divided, consistency becomes impossible. But when you target a few high-impact habits, the results become exponential. To activate the compound effect fully, you must master the art of purposeful focus. Many people confuse busyness with productivity. They assume being active means they're moving forward, but movement without direction can be one of the most dangerous traps. You can work hard every day and still remain stuck if your effort is scattered. Focused, consistent effort can change your entire life, while unfocused effort drains your time and leaves you questioning your abilities. Hook. The most successful people do not do everything. They do the right things repeatedly. To harness the power of focus, you must first identify what truly matters in your life. Write down your long-term goals, but do not stop there. Long-term goals mean nothing without daily behaviors that support them. The compound effect grows from alignment, aligning what you want with what you do every day. If your daily actions do not reflect your ambitions, it is not because you are incapable. It is because you have not yet aligned your direction. Once you know what matters, the next step is eliminating what does not. Distractions are the enemy of consistency. They steal your time in small, subtle ways. Minutes lost scrolling, hours spent on empty entertainment, days wasted on things that produce no growth. The biggest danger of distractions is not the time they waste, but the momentum they destroy. When your mental focus is constantly pulled away, your habits weaken and your progress slows. Hook. If you cannot control your attention, you cannot control your results. The next critical principle is the power of intentional routines. Routines remove decision-making fatigue. They reduce the mental load needed to follow your commitments. Without routines, you rely on willpower, and willpower is inconsistent. With routines, you rely on structure, and structure is dependable. When you build your day around a few core habits, you eliminate the friction that usually destroys consistency. Routines are not meant to restrict your life, they are meant to protect your momentum. A structured day frees your mind from chaos and allows your actions to flow naturally. When your mornings, evenings, or work sessions follow predictable patterns, your brain adapts. It becomes easier to stay consistent because you know exactly what to do and when to do it. Another powerful factor in the compound effect is your environment. Your environment shapes your behavior more than motivation ever will. If you surround yourself with distractions, negativity, noise, clutter, or people who drain your energy, your progress slows. But if you create an environment that supports your habits, clean spaces, organized tools, positive influences, and systems that simplify your actions, progress becomes automatic. This is why the most committed individuals are intentional about their surroundings. They remove temptations, build systems, set reminders, prepare the night before, and design conditions where positive habits are easier to perform than negative ones. Don't rely on self-control. Design your environment so you don't need it. The next cornerstone of the compound effect is energy management. Many people have goals, discipline, and ambition, yet fail because they ignore their energy levels. The body and mind were not designed to operate at full speed all the time. Fatigue leads to inconsistency. Burnout leads to quitting. If you want the compound effect to last, you must protect your physical and mental energy. Small improvements in sleep, hydration, nutrition, and movement make an enormous difference in your ability to stay consistent. When your energy rises, your discipline rises with it. When your body feels good, your mind becomes sharper. And when your mind is sharp, your habits become easier to maintain. Energy is the foundation that supports your routines, and without it, consistency becomes unstable. Another key principle is emotional resilience, the ability to keep going when your feelings try to stop you. Feelings are temporary. Discipline is permanent. To build long-term progress, you must separate your actions from your emotions. You may not always feel motivated. You may not always feel confident. You may not always feel inspired. But you must train yourself to act regardless. This emotional separation is what elevates your habits from efforts into identity. When you act even when you don't feel like it, you build internal strength. You prove to yourself that your goals matter more than your moods. Doing the work when you least feel like it is the moment growth accelerates. The next component is reflection. The compound effect becomes stronger when you regularly review your actions. Weekly reflection helps you catch mistakes early, identify progress, adjust your habits, and stay aligned with your goals. Reflection prevents stagnation because it forces you to ask, are my daily actions moving me forward or holding me back? Without reflection, weeks can pass with little progress. With reflection, you stay intentional, aware, and in control of your direction. Finally, one of the most powerful forces behind sustained progress is accountability. Humans perform better when they know their actions are being observed, whether by a mentor, a friend, a team, or even a personal tracking system. Accountability increases commitment and reduces the chance of drifting. The compound effect thrives in environments where expectations are clear, progress is monitored, and habits are anchored to purpose. When you combine focus, routines, supportive environments, energy management, emotional resilience, reflection, and accountability, you create a life where consistency becomes natural. When your systems are strong, success becomes inevitable. Chapter 2 serves as your blueprint. When you organize your habits, simplify your routines, and align your environment and energy with your goals, you create unstoppable momentum. You no longer depend on willpower. You operate through clarity, structure, and intention. This is how you not only maintain consistency but elevate it, putting yourself far ahead of the average person who lives without direction, without routine, and without intentional design. Chapter 3. If you truly want the compound effect to reshape your life, you must understand the silent force that controls nearly everything you do, your habits. Your habits are the autopilot systems of your life. They work quietly, consistently, and powerfully, whether they are working for you or against you. Most people underestimate their habits because the effects are not immediate. But over time, habits shape identity, identity shapes behavior, and behavior shapes destiny. The results you experience today, your confidence, your skill level, your energy, your productivity, are the accumulated outcome of habits you repeated over months or years. If you want different results, you cannot rely on willpower alone. You must build habits that protect your progress and eliminate habits that sabotage your growth. Your habits will either lift you to excellence or quietly pull you into mediocrity, and the difference is found in what you repeat daily. The first step in mastering your habits is awareness. Too many people move through life unconsciously repeating routines that limit their potential. Scrolling before bed, hitting snooze, skipping practice, delaying learning, avoiding discomfort. These patterns form easily because they require no effort. Negative habits grow quickly because the brain prefers comfort over challenge. But habits built on convenience rarely lead to meaningful outcomes. To activate the true power of the compound effect, you must replace unconscious habits with intentional ones. The moment you become aware of your current patterns, you gain control. You begin to see that every choice, no matter how small, is a vote for the person you are becoming. The second step is designing habits that connect directly to your goals. Your goals should not exist as distant dreams, they must be expressed through daily behaviors. A goal without a habit is just a wish. A habit without a goal is easily abandoned. But when your habits and goals align, your progress becomes inevitable. Start by choosing 3 foundational habits, simple actions that support your health, your mind, and your long-term ambitions. These habits become the pillars of your identity. They carry you through good days, bad days, and ordinary days. They become internal anchors that hold your direction steady even when life becomes chaotic. Transformation begins when your habits start shaping your future automatically. The next step is scaling your habits correctly. Most people fail because they try to change too much too fast. They start with huge goals, extreme routines, and high expectations. But the compound effect thrives on simplicity. You must make your habits so small that failure becomes difficult. 1 push-up, 5 minutes of reading, a short walk, a single page of writing. These small beginnings may feel insignificant, but they are immensely powerful because they are sustainable. Once you master the small version of a habit, you naturally expand it. The brain adapts, your discipline strengthens, and the habit becomes easier to repeat. Eventually, what once felt like effort becomes automatic. This is how the identity of a disciplined person is formed, not through massive effort, but through small, repeated actions that gradually increase. Another essential element of habit building is cue design. A habit becomes easier when it is triggered by a specific cue, something that signals it is time to act. Cues can be environmental, a water bottle on your desk, situational, sitting down at your workspace, time-based, a daily reminder, or emotional, feeling stressed and choosing a productive response. When your cues are consistent, your habits follow automatically. Your environment plays a major role in this process. If you want to grow, you must position yourself where growth becomes natural. Place your books in visible areas. Keep your fitness equipment easy to access. Organize your workspace to reduce friction. Remove objects that trigger negative habits. Add objects that trigger positive ones. Your environment should inspire action, not resistance. The easiest way to change your behavior is to change what surrounds you. One of the most underestimated aspects of habit building is habit stacking. This involves linking a new habit to an existing one. For example, after brushing your teeth, read 2 pages. After waking up, stretch for 2 minutes. After eating lunch, review your goals. These stacked habits create chains that become extremely difficult to break. The brain loves patterns, and habit stacking uses this to your advantage. The next principle is reinforcement. The brain repeats behaviors that feel rewarding. Your habits don't need large rewards. Small satisfaction is enough to strengthen consistency. Checking off a box, tracking progress, feeling a sense of completion, celebrating micro-wins, these simple rewards reinforce the identity you're building. But just as important as reinforcement is understanding triggers that derail your habits. Stress, boredom, hunger, exhaustion, and emotional overwhelm often push people back into old routines. To avoid this, create fallback versions of your habits. When you're exhausted, do a shorter version. When you're stressed, simplify the task. When you're overwhelmed, reduce the intensity. A reduced habit is always better than a broken habit. Hook. Consistency is not about doing everything perfectly, it's about never fully stopping. Another critical factor in mastering habits is recognizing the power of compounding behavior. The longer you maintain a habit, the more natural it becomes. The more natural it becomes, the less energy it requires. Eventually, the habit becomes part of your identity. And identity-driven behaviors are the strongest kind of behaviors because they are not forced, they are expressed. When people admire someone who is disciplined, they are not admiring talent. They are admiring identity. Discipline becomes easy when it is who you are. And who you are is built through what you repeatedly do. This means your habits are not just actions, they are the building blocks of your self-image. To fully unlock the compound effect, you must become someone who does the right thing even when it feels boring, even when it feels slow, and even when it feels inconvenient. The people who rise above mediocrity are those who embrace the repetition that others avoid. The final principle of habit mastery is patience. Habits require time to take root. Many people quit too early, not because their habits were ineffective, but because they misjudged the timeline. You must accept that real progress is slow, but slow progress is still progress. And once the compounding curve activates, your results accelerate in ways that feel almost unfair. Hook. The results you want are hiding behind the consistency you struggle to maintain. Master your habits, and you master your life. When your habits support your goals, your progress becomes automatic. When your habits align with your identity, your growth becomes natural. And when your habits compound over months and years, your success becomes unstoppable. This is how the compound effect shapes your future, not through dramatic moments, but through small actions repeated with intention. Chapter 4. Progress rarely announces itself with a trumpet. Most of the time, it is silent, almost invisible, appearing in the small moments when no one is watching. This chapter focuses on a principle many people ignore: the power of consistent self-discipline. Not the dramatic, once-in-a-while discipline that looks impressive on social media, but the quiet discipline that lives in your daily behavior. If you can master it, you unlock a level of growth that 99% of people never reach. Self-discipline is not about perfection. It is about direction. You don't need to be flawless, you only need to be focused. You need a guiding anchor that keeps you aligned with your goals even when motivation fluctuates. Because motivation will fluctuate. Some days you will feel unstoppable, other days you will want to quit everything. The compound effect rewards the person who acts consistently even on the days they don't feel like it. A powerful way to build discipline is to reduce your reliance on emotion. Most people behave based on how they feel in the moment. If they feel tired, they rest. If they feel stressed, they avoid tasks. If they feel unmotivated, they postpone everything. But those who rise above the average operate from commitment, not emotion. Commitment means doing what matters because you decided to, not because you feel like it. This is where the compound effect becomes a force working in your favor. Subhook: what would your life look like if you stopped negotiating with your excuses? Excuses are subtle. They disguise themselves as reasonable explanations. I'll start tomorrow, I'm too busy today, I'm not ready yet. But every excuse costs you momentum, and momentum is a treasure you cannot afford to waste. When you break the cycle of excuses, even once, you strengthen a new identity, someone who follows through. Identity creates behavior, and behavior reinforces identity. This loop either makes you unstoppable or keeps you stuck. The people who achieve extraordinary results rarely have extraordinary talent. They simply refuse to break their rhythm. They set small, repeatable commitments and protect those commitments with seriousness. You may not control your environment, your background, or your opportunities, but you control your rhythm. You control the discipline that guides your progress. And discipline, applied slowly and patiently, compounds into a life others admire. To strengthen your discipline, you must first simplify your system. Complexity kills consistency. If your habits require too much effort, too much planning, or too much willpower, you will fail to maintain them. Instead, design habits that fit into your existing life. Make them clear and easy to follow. A simple habit done daily is more powerful than an elaborate habit done occasionally. Subhook: small disciplines repeated daily can outperform the biggest goals delayed indefinitely. Another essential component of discipline is tracking. You cannot change what you do not measure. Tracking your behaviors forces honesty, and honesty forces progress. When you see your actions on paper, whether positive or negative, you confront the truth of your effort. Most people avoid this because they fear the reality of inconsistency. But you cannot fix what you refuse to face. Track your discipline, evaluate your patterns, and adjust consciously. You also need a system of self-respect. Discipline is built on the belief that your future deserves your effort today. When you break a promise to yourself, even a small one, you weaken that belief. When you keep a promise, you strengthen it. Every act of discipline becomes a vote of confidence in your future. Think of every small commitment you complete as an investment in the person you are becoming. Another key principle is environment. Discipline thrives in a supportive environment and dies in a distracting one. Remove temptations that break your focus. Reduce the noise around you. Surround yourself with cues that remind you of your goals. A strategic environment makes discipline easier, not because you lack willpower, but because you use willpower wisely. Subhook: you rise to the level of your systems, not your intentions. Finally, remember this: discipline is not supposed to feel pleasant all the time. Growth is uncomfortable, and discomfort is a sign that you're stretching beyond your limits. Instead of resisting discomfort, reinterpret it as progress. The compound effect works for anyone who is willing to embrace the challenge of showing up consistently. You do not need to be perfect. You do not need to be the most talented. You only need to keep moving forward with discipline. When you pair small, consistent actions with strong self-control, you build unstoppable momentum. And when momentum is on your side, the gap between you and the average person becomes wider every day. In the end, discipline is freedom. Freedom from regret, freedom from stagnation, and freedom from living below your potential. Every disciplined choice brings you closer to the life you want, and closer to the version of yourself you know you can become. Chapter 5. Momentum is one of the most misunderstood forces behind long-term success. People see momentum as luck, coincidence, or sudden inspiration, but in reality, momentum is engineered. It grows from consistent action, sustained focus, and the willingness to push through the dull, uneventful stages of improvement. Once momentum forms, it becomes a multiplier, amplifying your habits, sharpening your discipline, and accelerating your results. This chapter explores how to build momentum intentionally and how to maintain it when life challenges your consistency. Momentum begins with a single step, but it becomes powerful only when that step is repeated. Most people take the first step, but they don't maintain the pace. They get excited, take action for a few days, then slow down when the initial motivation fades. But momentum doesn't grow from occasional bursts. It grows from continuous effort. If you want momentum in your favor, you must resist the temptation to stop when progress feels slow or invisible. The days that seem insignificant are actually the days that strengthen your momentum the most. Subhook: what could happen if you stopped quitting right before momentum kicked in? Momentum doesn't just come from doing more, it comes from doing with intention. Every time you repeat a positive habit, your brain becomes more familiar with that pattern. Repetition rewires your mind to favor progress. With enough repetition, what once felt difficult becomes automatic. This shift from effort to instinct is where momentum becomes a superpower. It turns discipline into identity and identity into natural behavior. To build momentum, you need clarity. A vague goal cannot generate lasting energy. Your mind needs direction, and your actions need purpose. When you know what you want and why you want it, momentum grows faster because your daily behavior has something to anchor itself to. Clarity eliminates hesitation and reduces distraction. It gives your actions meaning, which makes consistency more natural. Another crucial part of momentum is starting small. Big leaps drain energy, small steps conserve it. When your goals are too heavy, your motivation collapses under pressure. But when your goals are broken into small tasks, you create easy wins that boost confidence and reinforce progress. Every small win strengthens your momentum. Every completed task signals to your brain that you are moving forward. Subhook: the size of your steps matters less than the fact that you keep stepping. Momentum grows fastest when you eliminate friction. Friction is anything that slows down your progress: distractions, doubts, messy environments, unclear routines, or the wrong people. When friction is high, consistency becomes a struggle. When friction is low, consistency becomes natural. Look at the things that repeatedly derail your habits and remove them one by one. Even small reductions in friction create large improvements in momentum. You must also guard your momentum fiercely. It is easier to maintain momentum than it is to rebuild it once it's lost. Many people work hard, make progress, feel proud, and then relax too early. They take their foot off the gas and allow the momentum they built to slip away. Protecting your momentum requires awareness. You must notice when you're drifting, when you're losing intensity, or when excuses begin to creep back in. Recommit quickly before the drift becomes a slide. Another powerful way to maintain momentum is through accountability. When you are accountable to yourself through honest tracking, you stay aligned with your goals. When you are accountable to others, mentors, friends, or a supportive community, you strengthen your commitment even further. Accountability fuels momentum because it adds structure, clarity, and urgency to your actions. Momentum also thrives on energy. Your physical and mental energy levels directly affect your ability to stay consistent. Poor sleep, poor nutrition, or mental exhaustion weaken your progress. Momentum requires fuel, and your body and mind are that fuel. Treat your well-being as part of your strategy, not an afterthought. When your energy is stable, your momentum becomes unstoppable. Subhook: imagine how far you could go if your energy matched your ambition. Finally, remember that momentum is emotional as much as it is practical. Small progress creates positive emotions. Positive emotions create more action. More action creates more progress. And the cycle continues. The compound effect thrives on this emotional loop. The more you do, the more you want to do. The more you achieve, the more confident you become. Confidence becomes belief, belief becomes identity, and identity becomes transformation. Momentum is the quiet force that separates average results from extraordinary ones. It is not dramatic, but it is powerful. Once it starts working in your favor, your life changes faster than you expect. The key is to stay consistent long enough for momentum to activate. When you build momentum intentionally and protect it consistently, you step into the rare zone of sustained progress, the zone where 99% of people never reach. And once you enter that zone, your growth stops being optional. It becomes inevitable. Chapter 6. Your environment shapes your destiny far more than most people realize. You can have discipline, goals, and ambition, but if your environment works against you, progress becomes an uphill battle. This chapter focuses on environments, physical, digital, emotional, and social, that influence your habits and ultimately determine the results you achieve. The compound effect grows faster when your surroundings support your growth instead of sabotaging it. The first environment you must master is your physical space. Your room, your desk, your work area, and even the way you arrange your devices all influence your behavior. A cluttered space breeds a cluttered mind. A chaotic environment drains your focus. When you simplify your surroundings, you reduce mental noise and make it easier to act consistently. Your environment should make good habits easier and bad habits harder. Optimize the space around you so that your growth feels natural, not forced. Subhook: what if your environment could push you forward instead of holding you back? The second environment is your digital world. It's easy to underestimate the influence of your phone, apps, and online habits. Every notification, every distraction, every piece of negative content pulls you away from progress. Your digital environment may be the biggest thief of your focus. To grow, you must take control of the content you consume and the tools you use. Curate your feeds. Limit distractions. Use technology intentionally instead of letting it use you. The compound effect multiplies when your digital space aligns with your goals instead of undermining them. Another environment that shapes your results is your routine. Your routine is where your habits live. You cannot expect extraordinary outcomes from a routine built on randomness. Structure your days in a way that supports your intentions. Your routine should hold your habits like a container, steady, clear, and reliable. When your routine becomes predictable, your progress becomes automatic. You no longer rely on willpower. You rely on rhythm. Subhook: when your routine supports your goals, consistency becomes your default behavior. The next environment is your emotional environment. This includes your internal dialogue, your mindset, and the emotional patterns you allow to stay in your life. Many people fail not because they lack knowledge, but because they haven't learned how to manage their emotions. Fear, impatience, self-doubt, and frustration are normal human experiences, but they should not be allowed to dictate your actions. Building emotional strength means recognizing your feelings without surrendering your progress to them. Your emotions are indicators, not instructions. Equally important is your social environment, the people you interact with and the energy they bring. Humans absorb habits, beliefs, and attitudes from the people around them. If your circle is filled with negativity, laziness, or distraction, you will naturally drift in that direction. But if your circle values growth, improvement, consistency, and ambition, their energy elevates yours. You don't need to cut everyone off. You only need to be intentional about who influences the most important parts of your life. Subhook: your future rises or falls to the level of the people you consistently allow around you. One of the most overlooked environments is the environment of expectations. People often perform not according to their abilities, but according to the standards they set for themselves. If your standards are low, you accept low results. If your standards are high, you demand more from yourself, and your actions rise accordingly. Raise your standards, and your entire environment shifts to match them. The compound effect follows the direction of your expectations. There is also the environment of habits, the small systems you set in place that guide your daily behavior. For example, preparing your workspace the night before creates an environment of readiness. Setting reminders creates an environment of commitment. Blocking specific distractions creates an environment of focus. Habits shape environment, and environment shapes habits. This cycle determines the quality of your results. To transform your environment, you must first become aware of its influence. Many people live passively inside environments that drain them without noticing. They wonder why they lack motivation, but they never question the surroundings that shape their behavior. Awareness gives you power. When you understand how different environments affect your performance, you can deliberately engineer spaces that support your growth. Ultimately, your environment is a silent partner in your success. It can push you forward or pull you backward. The compound effect accelerates when your surroundings are designed to make good decisions easy and bad decisions difficult. When your environment aligns with your goals, your progress becomes smoother, your discipline becomes stronger, and your identity becomes aligned with success. Your environment should not be accidental. It should be strategic. It should bring out the best in you. And when you build environments that support your future, You step into the rare group of people who grow effortlessly, not because life is easier for them, but because they built surroundings that help them win. Chapter 7. Success is not just about what you do, it's also about what you allow into your mind. Your belief system is the invisible engine behind your habits, actions, and decisions. This chapter focuses on mental conditioning, the process of strengthening the beliefs that support your growth and weakening the beliefs that hold you back. The compound effect accelerates when your mind works for you instead of against you. Your belief system functions like a filter. Everything you see, interpret, or experience passes through it. If your filter is negative, you interpret challenges as threats, setbacks as failures, and opportunities as risks. But if your filter is empowering, you view challenges as lessons, setbacks as redirection, and opportunities as stepping stones. Over time, these interpretations shape your life. What you believe becomes the foundation of what you create. Subhook: your mind is either the greatest ally to your growth or the strongest barrier you'll ever face. The first step in mental conditioning is identifying limiting beliefs. These are quiet thoughts that whisper, "You're not ready," "You're not capable," or "You're not that kind of person." They often come from past experiences, other people's opinions, or societal expectations. The problem is not that these beliefs exist. The problem is that people accept them as truth instead of challenging them. A belief unchecked becomes a belief reinforced. And a reinforced belief becomes a limit. Breaking limiting beliefs requires deliberate action. You must question the thoughts that tell you to stay where you are. Ask yourself, is this belief based on truth or fear? Most limiting beliefs collapse under scrutiny. Once you dismantle them, you create mental space for more empowering beliefs to grow. The second step is replacing these limits with constructive narratives. Your mind needs direction. If you remove a negative belief but don't replace it, the old one returns. Empowering beliefs act like mental fuel. I am capable of learning, my effort compounds, I can improve daily. These beliefs don't magically solve problems, they simply give you the confidence to face them. And confidence is a multiplier. Subhook: every new belief you adopt becomes a seed planted in the future you are building. Another essential part of mental conditioning is self-talk. Your internal dialogue becomes the soundtrack of your life. Most people speak to themselves in ways they would never speak to someone they care about. They insult themselves, criticize themselves, and undermine their own progress. But high performers use self-talk intentionally. They use it to prime their mindset, sharpen their focus, and reinforce their identity. Your mind responds to repetition. The more often you repeat certain thoughts, the more your brain accepts them as patterns. Using positive reinforcement isn't about pretending everything is perfect, it's about building mental resilience. You are training your brain to seek solutions instead of surrender, clarity instead of confusion, progress instead of stagnation. Mental conditioning also requires visualization. When you visualize your goals clearly, your brain familiarizes itself with the future you want. Visualization primes your motivation, enhances your belief, and reduces the fear associated with taking action. It becomes easier to pursue something that your mind already recognizes. Successful people don't just work toward their goals, they mentally rehearse them until they feel inevitable. Your mindset is also influenced by the information you consume. The content you listen to, watch, or read shapes your worldview. If you constantly feed your mind negativity, drama, and distraction, you weaken your mental clarity and sabotage your progress. But if you fill your mind with learning, motivation, strategy, and purpose, you strengthen your mindset and accelerate your growth. Your mind is a garden. Whatever you plant, it grows. Subhook: feed your mind with the same intentionality you feed your body. Equally important is the mindset of responsibility. People who grow consistently understand that they must take ownership of their actions, choices, and results. They don't blame circumstances, luck, or other people. Responsibility is empowering because it gives you control. When you take responsibility for everything you can influence, you regain the power to change your situation. Responsibility activates the compound effect by putting you back in the driver's seat. Mental conditioning also involves emotional discipline. You cannot control every emotion, but you can control your response. High achievers understand that emotions are temporary. They observe their feelings without letting them dictate decisions. The more emotionally disciplined you become, the more consistently you act despite discomfort. Growth requires movement, even when the mind resists. In the end, your beliefs create a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe you can improve, you will act in ways that confirm it. If you believe success is possible, you will take steps toward it. If you believe you deserve better, you will demand better. The compound effect magnifies whatever beliefs you reinforce, positive or negative. Mental conditioning is not about perfection. It is about strengthening your internal world so that your external world can transform. When your mind and habits align, progress becomes natural. And when your beliefs support your behavior, you step into a version of yourself that operates on a higher level than before. Chapter 8. One of the most powerful tools for accelerating growth is goal setting. Yet most people approach goals the wrong way. They set vague ambitions, chase multiple objectives at once, or rely solely on motivation to carry them forward. This chapter focuses on how to set goals that work with the compound effect, turning small, consistent actions into monumental results over time. The first principle of effective goal setting is clarity. Vague goals produce vague results. Saying, "I want to be successful," is meaningless unless you define what success looks like. The more specific your goal, the easier it becomes to map the steps required to reach it. Clarity gives your mind direction, and it makes every small action intentional rather than random. Without clarity, your efforts scatter, and the compound effect cannot build momentum. Subhook: the clearer your destination, the faster you arrive. Once you have clarity, break your goals into micro-actions. Large goals can feel overwhelming, which often leads to procrastination. Instead of focusing on the massive outcome, focus on the small steps that lead to it. If your goal is to write a book, the micro-actions could be writing 300 words a day. If your goal is to improve your health, it could be taking a 10-minute walk each morning. These small actions, when repeated daily, compound into extraordinary results. Another essential component is alignment. Your goals must align with your core values and your life vision. When your goals resonate with your identity, it becomes easier to stay consistent. If your goals conflict with what you truly care about, motivation will fade quickly, and the compound effect will stall. Alignment ensures that the effort you invest feels natural and purposeful, rather than forced. Subhook: goals without alignment are like a map pointing in the wrong direction. Tracking your progress is another critical step. You cannot manage what you do not measure. Track your daily actions, weekly progress, and monthly results. Measurement creates accountability, increases awareness, and allows you to make adjustments before small issues turn into major setbacks. Tracking also reinforces consistency. The visible progress fuels motivation and strengthens the habit loop. Equally important is review and reflection. Setting goals is not a one-time event, it is a process. Regularly reflect on what's working and what isn't. Identify patterns that help you grow and habits that hold you back. Reflection turns experience into insight, and insight transforms your approach. Without reflection, your actions may be consistent, but they won't necessarily lead to optimal results. Subhook: reflection is the bridge between effort and mastery. Your mindset is the engine behind goal achievement. Many people set ambitious goals but fail because they doubt themselves. You must cultivate the belief that you can achieve your goals and that incremental progress matters. Every small victory reinforces your confidence and strengthens your momentum. The compound effect works fastest when your mindset is strong, resilient, and unwavering. Prioritize focus above all else. Do not spread your energy across too many goals. Multitasking divides attention and weakens the compound effect. Choose a few high-impact goals and dedicate yourself to them fully. Depth of effort always outperforms breadth when it comes to long-term growth. Subhook: focus transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary results. Lastly, understand the importance of flexibility. Life is unpredictable, and obstacles will arise. Goals must be firm, but your approach can adapt. Flexibility allows you to adjust your actions without losing sight of the outcome. It ensures consistency continues even when circumstances change. The compound effect is not about perfection, it is about persistence. Adapt your strategies, but never abandon the core commitment to progress. The most successful individuals combine clarity, alignment, tracking, reflection, mindset, focus, and flexibility. They understand that goals are not a destination, they are a process. Each small, intentional action compounds over time, leading to results that far exceed initial expectations. Goals are not about immediate gratification, they are about long-term transformation. Subhook: the power of a goal is unlocked not by thinking about it, but by acting on it consistently. When you master goal setting in this way, you harness the compound effect fully. Every day becomes a building block toward your future, every action reinforces your progress, and every decision strengthens your trajectory. The distance between you and the average person widens with every consistent, purposeful step. Chapter 9. One of the most powerful accelerators of success is consistency in your actions over time. The compound effect is not fueled by occasional brilliance, sudden inspiration, or a single burst of effort. It is fueled by repeated, disciplined action. This chapter focuses on how to sustain consistency even when life becomes difficult, distractions appear, or motivation fades. The first step to lasting consistency is commitment to a system, not just a goal. Goals are destinations, but systems are the engines that take you there. Relying solely on motivation or willpower is unreliable because both fluctuate. Systems, however, work quietly, day after day, to produce results. When you build routines and structures that make the right actions automatic, consistency becomes effortless. Subhook: the goal is important, but the system determines whether you arrive. Another essential element is reducing friction in your life. Friction is anything that makes it harder to take the action you need. It could be a messy workspace, unclear instructions, a lack of preparation, or negative influences around you. The more friction you remove, the easier it becomes to act consistently. Small adjustments, like preparing the night before, simplifying steps, or organizing your environment, compound into remarkable progress over time. Consistency is also reinforced through tracking and accountability. Most people lose momentum because they fail to measure their actions. Tracking creates awareness and allows you to evaluate progress objectively. Accountability, whether to yourself or others, adds commitment and strengthens your discipline. Even a small system of accountability dramatically increases the likelihood of sustained effort. Subhook: you cannot improve what you do not measure, and you cannot sustain what you do not monitor. A crucial principle in maintaining consistency is embracing small, incremental wins. Most people quit because they expect massive results too quickly. But the compound effect thrives on tiny, repeated successes. Completing small tasks daily may seem insignificant, yet over time, they accumulate into extraordinary outcomes. Progress is often invisible at first, but that invisibility is proof that the foundation is being built. Another secret to consistency is habit stacking. Pair new actions with existing routines so they become automatic. After brushing your teeth, meditate. Before your morning coffee, write down 3 priorities. These chains of behavior reduce reliance on willpower and increase reliability. The brain thrives on patterns, and habit stacking uses this natural tendency to your advantage. Subhook: Consistency grows when actions become automatic, not forced. Emotional resilience is equally important. Life is unpredictable. Stress, fatigue, failure, or unexpected circumstances can derail even the most disciplined individuals. High performers understand that feelings are temporary, but actions create results. When you act despite how you feel, you build momentum and strengthen your identity as someone who follows through. The compound effect rewards those who persevere through discomfort. Flexibility is another key component. Consistency does not mean rigidity. Adjusting your methods or reducing the intensity on tough days ensures you never fully stop. A reduced effort is better than no effort at all. The important factor is to never break the chain. Long-term consistency is a series of connected actions, and the chain is more valuable than perfection. Subhook, showing up, even imperfectly, compounds faster than waiting for perfection. Finally, celebrate the process rather than only the outcome. People often tie motivation to results, but the compound effect works independently of immediate recognition. Learning to value the act of showing up, completing the small tasks, and reinforcing your habits ensures your consistency is sustainable. Motivation comes and goes, but the results of persistent action endure. Consistency is the glue that holds all other principles together: habits, discipline, momentum, environment, mindset, and goals. Without it, even the most brilliant strategies fail. With it, small, intelligent actions magnify over time, leading to extraordinary success. Those who master consistency separate themselves from 99% of people because they persist when others quit, act when others hesitate, and grow when others remain stagnant. Subhook: your future is created by what you do consistently today, not by what you do occasionally. Mastering consistency means mastering your life. Each day, each action, each small choice compounds quietly, invisibly, until the results become undeniable. The compound effect is always working, either for you or against you. The difference is determined by your ability to remain disciplined, persistent, and intentional over the long term. Chapter 10. You have reached the point where all the principles of the compound effect come together: habits, discipline, momentum, environment, mindset, goal setting, and consistency. The final chapter is about integration and execution, how to take everything you've learned and turn it into a life that puts you ahead of 99% of people. Knowledge alone changes nothing. Action changes everything. The first step in integration is designing your life intentionally. Most people drift through life, reacting to circumstances instead of shaping them. They allow their environment, emotions, and other people to dictate their actions. The compound effect works best when you are intentional about your decisions. Every choice, no matter how small, is a building block. By consciously designing your actions, your routines, and your habits, you take control of the force that shapes your future. Subhook: if you do not direct your life intentionally, someone else will, and you will follow their design. Next, you must embrace the power of compounding small decisions. Every tiny choice adds up. Drinking water instead of soda, reading for 20 minutes instead of scrolling social media, saving a small portion of income instead of spending it impulsively. These micro-decisions seem trivial in isolation but combine over time to create extraordinary results. The compound effect is neutral. It magnifies whatever you repeatedly do. Positive actions compound into success. Negative actions compound into failure. Another critical principle is momentum through consistency. As you take small steps daily, they accumulate and reinforce each other. Discipline leads to habit, habit leads to identity, and identity leads to results. The most successful individuals are not the ones who wait for inspiration. They are the ones who act consistently regardless of feelings, environment, or external circumstances. Momentum transforms effort into ease, turning once difficult actions into automatic behavior. Subhook: consistency is the secret weapon that turns ordinary effort into extraordinary outcomes. To maximize the compound effect, you must track and evaluate your actions. Every day, ask, did today's choices move me closer to my goals or further away? Honest evaluation prevents small mistakes from becoming long-term setbacks. Awareness creates control. Control allows adjustment. Adjustment fuels growth. Tracking your progress turns the invisible power of compounding into visible, measurable results. Equally important is the courage to face delayed gratification. The compound effect does not reward instant results. It rewards patience, persistence, and faith in the process. The small, consistent actions you take today may feel invisible, but over months and years, they create exponential returns. Most people quit too early, mistaking slow growth for failure. The key is to remain committed, trust the process, and keep investing in the future consistently. Subhook: the person who wins is not the fastest or strongest, but the one who refuses to quit. Integration also requires alignment of your actions with your values. If your daily habits and routines contradict your core beliefs, you will struggle to maintain momentum. Success becomes sustainable only when it is authentic, when what you do aligns with who you want to be. Alignment transforms effort from a chore into a natural expression of your identity. Your environment plays a role as well. Design spaces, routines, and social circles that reinforce growth. Remove distractions, negative influences, and friction. Create cues and systems that make positive actions easier and negative ones harder. The compound effect accelerates when your surroundings support your intentions rather than undermine them. Finally, embrace responsibility and ownership. Accept that your results are the product of your decisions, both large and small. Stop blaming external factors and take control of what you can influence. When you fully own your actions, you regain the power to create your desired outcome. Responsibility transforms a passive participant into an active architect of your life. Subhook: the moment you take full responsibility for your choices, you unlock the ability to change your destiny. In conclusion, the compound effect is not a theory, it is a law. Every decision, action, and habit compounds, whether you consciously guide it or not. The people who rise above 99% of the population are not lucky. They have mastered the art of intentional, consistent, and focused effort. They show up every day, make small wins, embrace delayed gratification, and align their lives with their goals. Over time, this creates results that seem extraordinary but are, in fact, inevitable. Your challenge now is to apply everything consistently. Build habits, design your environment, strengthen your mindset, track your progress, and embrace patience. The smallest, smartest choices repeated daily will propel you forward. The compound effect is always working, either for you or against you. Your future is determined by the actions you take now. Subhook: start today. Act consistently. Let the compound effect do the rest. This is your moment. You have the knowledge. You have the tools. Now it is time to create a life that 99% of people never reach. Your future begins with the choices you make today, and the choices you make today, repeated daily, will define everything that follows. Chapter 11. One of the most overlooked principles of success is decision-making. Your life is the sum of the decisions you make each day, big and small. While it's easy to focus on extraordinary events or major breakthroughs, the truth is that ordinary decisions, repeated consistently, determine your trajectory. The compound effect multiplies these choices, so every decision carries weight. The first step in mastering decision-making is awareness. Most people make choices unconsciously, influenced by habit, emotion, or external pressures. When you become aware of every decision, what you eat, how you spend your time, the conversations you engage in, you gain control. Awareness allows you to distinguish between choices that compound your success and those that drain your momentum. Subhook: your future is shaped more by daily choices than by occasional brilliance. Another key principle is intentionality. Don't make decisions by default. Make them deliberately. Ask yourself, will this choice move me closer to my goals or farther away? Small, intentional decisions create direction, clarity, and alignment with your long-term vision. The compound effect favors people who act consciously, not reactively. Subhook: every choice is a vote for the person you are becoming. Decision-making also requires speed and discipline. Indecision wastes energy and stalls momentum. The most successful people make decisions quickly, adjust when necessary, and refuse to let fear or overthinking dominate. Waiting for the perfect moment often means never acting at all. The compound effect rewards consistent action, not hesitation. To strengthen your decision-making, reduce decision fatigue. Simplify daily choices that don't matter so your energy is reserved for high-impact decisions. This includes creating routines, using checklists, and limiting distractions. Every energy saved compounds into better focus and more effective decisions in the areas that truly matter. Subhook: simplify your daily choices to amplify the impact of the important ones. Finally, understand that mistakes are part of the process. Even intentional decisions can fail. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary people is how they respond. Successful individuals learn quickly, adjust their strategy, and maintain consistency. They view mistakes as data, not disasters, and allow learning to compound alongside their successes. Subhook: mistakes don't erase progress, they accelerate it if you learn from them. Decision-making is a skill like any other. It strengthens with practice and consistency. When you align your choices with your goals, values, and habits, you unleash a force that works quietly but relentlessly to shape your life. The compound effect is always at work, multiplying the impact of every intentional decision you make. Chapter 12. One of the most powerful yet underestimated tools in personal growth is focus. Your attention is your most valuable resource. Without focus, even the best habits, systems, and goals fail to produce results. The compound effect multiplies what you consistently focus on, making concentration one of the highest leverage skills you can develop. The first principle of focus is eliminating distractions. Modern life is filled with constant interruptions, social media, notifications, unnecessary multitasking, and noise. Each distraction steals energy, breaks momentum, and slows progress. By consciously minimizing distractions, you reclaim control of your attention and create space for high-value actions that compound over time. Subhook: what you focus on today determines your results tomorrow. Next, prioritize high-impact activities. Not every task matters equally. Some actions produce outsized results while others barely move the needle. Focus on the few activities that drive the greatest results toward your goals. This principle, often called the 80-20 rule, ensures your efforts are amplified instead of diluted. The compound effect multiplies the results of focused, high-value action far more than scattered effort. Subhook: do less, but do what truly matters. Another key principle is deep work. This is the ability to immerse yourself fully in a single task without distraction for a period of time. Deep work produces high-quality results quickly and builds skills faster. Consistent periods of deep work create compounding mastery. Skills, experience, and results grow quietly but relentlessly when attention is fully devoted. To maintain focus, cultivate mental clarity. A cluttered mind creates indecision and fatigue. Clear your thoughts through journaling, planning, or meditative practices. A clear mind directs energy efficiently and makes it easier to sustain attention on high-value activities. Subhook: clarity of mind leads to clarity of action. Equally important is environmental support. Your surroundings either enhance focus or sabotage it. A clean, organized workspace, minimize distractions, and clear cues for productivity make concentration effortless. Strategic environmental design compounds your ability to stay on task. Focus also requires discipline over impulse. It is tempting to respond to every notification, interruptive thought, or immediate desire. The disciplined person prioritizes long-term results over short-term comfort. Small acts of self-control, repeated consistently, compound into unstoppable concentration and achievement. Subhook: every time you resist distraction, you strengthen your future self. Finally, embrace single-minded commitment. Multitasking and divided attention are enemies of progress. The compound effect rewards those who give consistent energy to one clear direction at a time. By focusing relentlessly on high-value actions, your results grow exponentially over weeks, months, and years. Subhook: focus is the bridge between effort and extraordinary results. When focus becomes a habit, your progress accelerates. Each small, deliberate effort gains momentum, skills compound, and results multiply quietly but powerfully. Attention is the lens through which the compound effect magnifies your actions. Sharpen your focus, and you magnify everything else in your life. Chapter 13. The final principle to master in the journey of the compound effect is persistence and resilience. Life is unpredictable. Obstacles, failures, and setbacks are inevitable. What separates those who succeed from those who remain average is not luck, talent, or opportunity. It is the ability to persist when the path gets difficult and to remain resilient in the face of challenges. Persistence is the consistent application of effort over time. It is showing up, even when progress seems invisible. Many people quit too soon because they expect immediate results. The compound effect doesn't work in bursts. It works quietly, day after day, building momentum that becomes unstoppable. Each small act of persistence multiplies over time, producing results that eventually seem exponential. Subhook: the person who refuses to quit always gets the last word. Resilience is equally critical. Setbacks are inevitable, but resilience determines your response. Instead of surrendering to failure, resilient people analyze the situation, extract lessons, adjust their approach, and continue. They treat obstacles not as roadblocks but as opportunities to grow stronger. Resilience compounds because each challenge you overcome strengthens your mindset and prepares you for the next. Subhook: every challenge is a stepping stone, not a stumbling block. Another important aspect of persistence is long-term thinking. Immediate gratification is tempting, but true success requires patience. The compound effect rewards those who think in years, not days, months, not hours. Small, consistent actions repeated over the long term outpace sporadic bursts of effort every time. The key is to commit to the process, not just the outcome. Persistence also requires discipline over comfort. Growth is rarely comfortable. Pushing yourself to complete a habit, take action, or maintain focus, even when it's inconvenient, strengthens your self-control and builds momentum. Each disciplined action compounds, reinforcing your identity as someone who follows through regardless of circumstances. Subhook: comfort is the enemy of progress. Persistence is its ally. Resilient individuals also learn from feedback and failure. Mistakes are not signs of inadequacy, they are lessons. By reflecting on errors and adjusting strategies, you convert failures into stepping stones for growth. The compound effect magnifies learning just as it magnifies success. Each lesson integrated strengthens your trajectory toward extraordinary results. Your support system matters too. Surround yourself with people who encourage persistence and resilience. Mentors, peers, and communities that reinforce growth make it easier to stay on track when challenges arise. Just as the wrong environment can sabotage progress, the right environment can multiply your perseverance. Subhook: you rise faster when the people around you lift you higher. Finally, understand that persistence and resilience are habits, not traits. Anyone can cultivate them through practice, intention, and repetition. Each time you choose to persist, each time you recover from a setback, you strengthen the internal systems that produce lasting success. Over time, These habits compound into extraordinary results, separating you from the majority of people who give up too soon. Subhook: success is not about avoiding challenges, it's about refusing to be defeated by them. The compound effect works quietly, invisibly, but powerfully. Persistence ensures that your actions continue. Resilience ensures that setbacks don't destroy your progress. Together, they create an unstoppable force that multiplies every habit, every decision, and every action you take. Your journey does not end here. Each principle you've learned, habits, discipline, momentum, environment, mindset, goal setting, focus, and persistence, interlocks to create a life far beyond average. Apply them consistently, and you step into a reality that 99% of people never experience. Subhook: persist. Stay resilient. Let the compound effect transform your life.